Robin Lundberg Show here with you once again. Today is going to be a fun show. Some stuff I really want to talk about. We're going to get to, obviously, the Kendrick response to Drake. I've been very active on my social media talking about that. You know, I know a lot of you guys probably have feelings on that as well, followers of mine and the like. And I think Kevin Zwicker, big fan of the show, sort of a producer on the show now. I sent him the link earlier because he will take the Drake side of things, and I want to make sure I'm fair. We'll also talk about Dirty Dom, Dirty Mackin on Rhea Ripley, because that could be a historic angle for the WWE going forward. Get into LeBron for just a minute, but going to start where we've been starting on this show, and that is with Caitlin Clark and the latest in the WNBA world turning. And today it was Diana Taurasi and what she had to say about Caitlin Clark, or the fans, I guess, who have come to the defense of Caitlin Clark. Taurasi clarified her previous comments, and we discussed those on the show a little bit, and some people thought maybe they were sneak hate. I never thought there was anything wrong with the actual words that she said. The tone that she used had a little tinge of jealousy or haterade to me, but I went back and listened, and I may have changed my tune a bit. Let's first get to what Diana Taurasi had to say about her initial comments and the reaction to them. This is what the Phoenix Mercury player said to the press.
It's kind of like when you go from kindergarten or first grade, there's a learning adjustment. When you go from high school to college, there's a learning adjustment. You know, I don't think I said anything that wasn't factually correct. And like anything, greatness is going to translate. And she's proven that in every level. And I don't see it being any different in the WNBA.
We'll do one more.
So her comments there were a lot more complimentary. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what Taurasi said in the sense of, you know, Caitlin Clark's going to have to adjust to the WNBA. Now, I'm of the belief that she's going to do even better in the WNBA because I think she has the kind of game where the better her teammates are, the better even she will be because she sees the floor so well, she passes so well, the defense won't be able to collapse on her completely, right? Like, so I think she could actually go to another level, but it's a perfectly fair and reasonable point of view to say, hey, you're going from college to the pros, let's pump the brakes a little bit. And let's see, you know, let's give her some time to adjust. Now, I don't know if these will get flagged. Hopefully it doesn't get flagged, but let me see if I can find some of the initial Taurasi comments. You know, she did those game commentaries with Sue Bird, and I think that was where some of the reaction came from, right? Like what the tone of her comments were on some of those whatever watch-alongs, basically. But she was also on Sports Center and the like, and I'll just play a small clip so they hopefully don't flag me, but just so you can see the difference in tone.
Reality is coming.
Okay.
You know, there's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it. And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side where.
So reality is coming. You know, like when you start the comment with reality is coming, you're implying that she's going to fall on her face a little bit. And I think since those comments, Taurasi has probably heard the reaction and adjusted accordingly. There was never anything terribly wrong with what she had to say in the first place. And here's the thing about Diana Taurasi, and I say this in the most complimentary way possible. She's a bit of a dick, right? Like, that's how she has made her career and been as good as she's been, because she is a little abrasive. She is a little hard-headed. She does have swag. She ain't going to put up with ish. She'll get in your face. You know, and I love Taurasi was my favorite women's player before, you know, Clark, who I just think is the thing with Caitlin Clark, and I've said this before, she's on a different level than everybody else, which is okay. That's the reason she's getting all the attention. That's the reason she's this phenomenon, because she's better at basketball than anyone who's ever played on the women's side. But Taurasi was the first women's player who really caught my attention, like, woo, because she had the sauce. She had the swag. You know? And she had that attitude. So that's some of that attitude coming forward here. It's just that Clark was on the receiving end of it. And because Clark has so much more attention around her, there's going to be so much more reaction to everything she does, including what people say about her. But, I did previously get that tinge of, I don't want to call it jealousy. I don't want to call it hate so much as slight resentment. And that would be understandable if you were Candace Parker or Cheryl Swoops or Diana Taurasi or Sue Bird or any of the great ladies who had come before, and you see this other girl come, get all this hype and attention when you worked your tail off, when you had a great career, and you didn't get a fraction of it. But I do think, and I do sense the tone adjusting there, and Taurasi coming around full circle, now going, oh yeah, you know what? This is really good for the game. This is really good for the sport I love. Let me qualify these comments. Let me clarify them a little bit, because there's nothing wrong with the substance of what she said. So no harm, no foul, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. But I thought it was worth getting into, and it is actually interesting because this is, we haven't seen this again before. Like, I don't remember comments from other people making headlines the way they are around Caitlin Clark. When's the last time, no disrespect to Diana or any WNBA woman or basketball player, when's the last time you heard comments like this circulate, period, out of that sport, out of that league, I guess I should say. I always, it's always when you start saying women's basketball, men's, but they're the same sport. There's no difference. Exact same sport, just a different league. They just put the W in front of NBA. Exact same sport. Otherwise, there's no, I don't think there's any other Caitlin Clark news of the day. There was the half-court shot thing. I don't know if you guys saw that. But she was accused of cheating, which might have been fair. It looks like Kelsey Mitchell, this is at Fever practice, said she needs to take a step back and actually shoot the shot from half court. Let me show you the video here. This practice footage, so I'll be good. I don't have to worry about anybody coming after me. Here we go. Oh, no, she was... Was she... No, she was behind the... What's the problem? I don't see the beef there. Let me let the video play through. Look at the joy on the teammates' faces, by the way. Look at that. That is cool, the camaraderie you see with this team already.
No.
So, for anybody who says...
shot start right here.
Oh, she's saying she got the momentum. I see. Not that she went over half court, but that she got momentum from starting further behind. That was the beef there. But you can see it in their faces. Like, for anybody who says the other ladies aren't embracing it, her teammates are certainly embracing it. They know they're part of something special, and there'll probably be a special team as a result. You saw Boston's smile there. You saw all the smiles there, and that's cool to see. That's cool to see because, it's not going to be just Caitlin Clark out there on the WNBA floor, even at the college level. Once Iowa ran into South Carolina, there was a bit of an issue. Once Iowa ran into South Carolina, there was a little bit of an issue because the talent gap just got to be too much. It just got to be too much. But, hey, the greats of the game are speaking. And I hope the greats like Diana Taurasi receive retroactive credit now and then give the proper credit to Caitlin Clark and the phenomenon that she is going into the WNBA. Hit me up in the comments section. Let me know what you think. If you have any thoughts, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. If you comment later, I will get to those comments later. That was the daily Caitlin Clark portion of the show. That's what I had to say on that. I have, I feel like a beat reporter, like I said, but I am like in a sense a journalist covering this in real time because it is a once in a lifetime thing. It's a once in a lifetime thing, like a generational thing. We'll never see something like this again. We've never seen something like this before. So there is a certain excitement level to covering it, to processing it, to sharing it with others, to delving into the nuances of it. And I think I'm, in a sense, uniquely qualified because I have a huge background in sports and sports media and a huge background in basketball and a familiarity with the women and the WNBA game. But I wouldn't say that was something that was an area of expertise of mine at all. So it allows me to come in fresh while not completely ignorant and without bias, because I don't have bias. You know, you heard me sticking up for Angel Reese yesterday in here. I just because I like Caitlin Clark don't mean I don't like Angel Reese. I don't play games like that. And there's all these other layers to it. You know, the racial aspect has come up, of course. The past women aspect has come up. The adjustment to the WNBA has come up. All these various factors have come up. AJ Schreiber says, I think it's cool. You can be to Caitlin Clark what Windhorse is to LeBron. From your comment to ESPN's TV. How about that? Let's put it that way. But yeah, it's an exciting time. And look, you guys think I'm kidding around or whatnot. And I know there's like some probably people who have followed my career for a long time who know the other stuff I talk about and what I've been known for talking about and didn't maybe expect this pivot in a sense, but I'm just going with the results. And this is a more of a YouTube specific thing than anything else. Though I will say on Facebook, you know, the reel I did on Clark got 500,000 views on Facebook. 500,000, 500,000 views. And then when it comes to the YouTube specific aspect of this show, everything Caitlin Clark crushes everything else. It's not even close. It's not even close. Caitlin Clark's going to get this channel monetized mad quick. Thank you, Caitlin Clark. I will not be sending you a cut of the pennies that I get from YouTube, but I will be appreciative. The great benefactor with the sunglasses and the fire. Good combination. You want to have sunglasses on if you're near the fire, I guess. You know, like, you ever been near a campfire and it gets in like the corner of your eyes? It's really annoying. It's really annoying. All right, you guys can continue to comment on that, but that was what I had to say. You know, it's a funny cheat code. You know, Denise Salcedo, who I'm doing the Friday Night SmackDown show with, you know, she had told me after the show she would clip out portions of the show as separate videos. And I'm like, why didn't I do that before? Because I did that with the first segment from I did that with a couple segments from yesterday's show, but the first segment from yesterday's show I clipped out and has more views than anything else in the history of the channel. And I didn't have to do any extra work. You know? So I'm already doing the work. This show is for you. This is the long-form thing for you. I'm going to try, you know, clipping out things on other topics as well, see how those do. But I'm going to be following and talking about Caitlin Clark. I would be a moron to not do it. I would be rejecting the numbers. I would be rejecting the data. I would be rejecting the interest on this particular platform where this show started if I didn't. So you can continue to comment on it. I'll get back to your comments on it. I'll clip that opening segment for later if any of you missed it and just want to get that part of it. But there is other stuff I wanted to get to on the show today, including the Lakers being eliminated. And it feels a little bit more boring this year. I don't even know if there's as many LeBron haters going on, you know, or out there. You know, I don't know if there's as many people who are reveling in the demise of LeBron James. There's that footage of him with the woman who called him a crybaby. I've seen that circulating a bunch. This is what I'm talking about. She calls him a crybaby, and he sort of faints at her. Battling with Jokic there. A little upset about whatever happened. Walking over. Not liking the ref. Calls him a crybaby. Gives her a little flinch and she jumps back. And I saw people say he threatened her. I mean, come on, guys. Let's calm down a little bit. Let's be judicious on the use of the word threat. LeBron has a chance to be a free agent. And he is entitled at this point to go wherever he wants for whatever reason he wants. Anybody who is clowning LeBron right now is really just telling on themselves, because what they're actually saying is that LeBron's great. If you're criticizing LeBron for losing right now, you're just saying he's great, given that he's in his 21st season and 39 years old. You're not supposed to be doing this. Michael Jordan was not doing this at this age. And LeBron gave the Nuggets all they could handle. That was sometimes, a 5-game series might not seem competitive on paper, but there have been plenty of competitive 5-game series, and this was a competitive 5-game series. The Lakers led, I think, in every game. They lost 2 games at the buzzer. And shouts to Jamal Murray, by the way, who has to be the best NBA player to never make an all-star team, because that guy's a killer. And that 2-man game with Jokic is unstoppable, because Jokic is just so big and get where he wants to get to on the floor. Such a great passer, such great touch, all those things. And Murray can operate in the smaller spaces and get his shot off at any time. AJ Schreiber says, I'll say it 1,000 times. My number one wish is for the Bulls to draft Bronny and then refuse to sign LeBron, make LeBron wait to play with his kid. I would love it. Look, I don't even know if LeBron's go. I think he might have clarified that that's not even his number one. Who knows if Bronny's even going to be in the NBA? I think the media's probably made more of that than anything else. But if you refuse to sign LeBron, especially if you're the Chicago Bulls, you got problems. The Chicago mid. DS Sai Sahande says the only person who hates LeBron is Skip Bayless. So look, he's made a good living on hating LeBron. It's something, right? I mean, I think the thing about LeBron is he was the case study for the 24/7 news cycle and the social media age, because he went to Miami just as that was all bubbling and popping up. And then it became a cottage industry to talk about LeBron every day. So everybody has talked about LeBron every day since that happened. Every day since that happened, people have talked about LeBron. And that keeps him in the zeitgeist. It also makes people feel a certain type of way about it. You hear about it. There's a little bit of the Caitlin Clark thing there. That's what you're seeing people react to a little bit without subconsciously. They don't realize it. But they're hearing about it all the time, and they have a reaction to it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. So that's what's happened with LeBron James. But, I mean, he represented himself well. He had a good series. He had a great season. They lost. And we're in a bit of a changing of the guard, right? I mean, Steph's out, KD's out, LeBron's out. That Wolves-Nuggets series is going to be it. That's going to be lit. All right, speaking of lit, we got the rap battle. Kendrick responding to Drake on a track called Euphoria today, 6 minutes and change. And everybody was waiting for Kendrick to respond to Drake. And I knew he would respond when he was ready. And I knew when he responded, it was going to be heat. I knew it. Because Kendrick is an artist on a different level. He's an artist on a different level. And he hates Drake. He hates him. He hates everything he stands for, everything he represents. And look, I mean, fan bases are going to be polarized. I'm probably a little biased against Drake. Not probably. I'm a little biased against Drake. He's not my favorite. I could be accused of being a Drake hater. At that same token, I've heard and listened to all of Drake's music. There's some of it I have liked. But I'm with Kendrick. I like melodic Drake, not tough guy Drake. Like, if you're asking me what's my favorite Drake song, I would say, Hold On, We're Going Home. That's my favorite Drake song. That's the one that I feel like is timeless and authentic in a way. I've got my eyes on you. That's a great song. It's a great song. And if I'm saying what are my favorite Drake albums, it's probably Nothing Was the Same. Maybe Take Care a little bit. Though it kind of feels like a Weekend album in retrospect. But the thing about this Euphoria track is Kendrick said what a lot of us think and how a lot of us feel about Drake. That just something about him that feels fraudulent and phony. And the ghostwriter thing, it's funny. I've seen this defense of Drake of like, he's just saying the things that people have said already. Yeah, those are not good things. And Kendrick flipped the whole, 20 on 1 on Drake because he said it's 1 verse 20 if I got to slap the dudes that are writing for you. And that's the thing about this battle that I think is tough because there's not much to say about Kendrick. He's private. His artistry, his music speaks for itself. And a lot of us have that feeling about it. And there's a lot beneath the surface on this Kendrick diss that I think people are going to get to later. I mean, some of it, he went back to the Like That issue of Drake not having a classic. He said, you don't have a class. My last one's like my first one, a classic. You don't have one. Your core fans will have to stomach that and realize where you get your abs from. Core, stomach, all that. There's wordplay. He also responds to the whole idea that he's splitting up his money. And that's what when Drake said that on Push-Ups, it was always odd to me because we all knew he was on that Young Money deal. And Drake, that's what Kendrick said. You're paying out to this person, that person, that person, that person. But the core of the song is about how Kendrick despises Drake's very essence and thinks he's a phony and fraudulent. And as a result, he doesn't have the integrity to be a good father. That's where he gets to later. But the beginning of the song has a sound loop that, if you play it backwards, is, I think it's the Wizard of Oz, Richard Pryor being exposed as a fraud. That's the crux of it. That's what he's going at. That's the heart of the matter. You've got ghostwriters. You're not comfortable in your own skin. You're not a tough guy. Your music isn't authentic enough to be good enough, to be classic enough, to mess with me. Your artistry can't mess with me as a result. If this is the way you conduct yourself, how can you teach and impart wisdom onto your son? That's basically what he's saying in a lot of this. And it's going to be tough to respond. Because look, I just think Kendrick's energy, he's just better than Drake to me. That's another thing. Like the Push-Ups joint, I don't know if I've played it again since I certainly haven't played the TaylorMade thing. I can't even play that because it's not available anymore. And Kendrick alludes to that, making Tupac roll over in his grave and all that. But so that I'm not completely piling on Drake, I want to be fair. I see him frustrated. He's in the warehouse of his workplace. I got Kevin Zwicker back on the show. Kevin has an OVO tattoo.
So I do.
It's very authentic that he is going to be defending Drake. I'll give you the floor. Look, Kevin, you can't say I'm not. I'm giving you a voice here. I'm letting you take the other side of the argument. Go.
You are, man, but I feel like this whole funeral of Drake that you're trying to have is very premature, man. Push-Ups is hot, all right?
What did he say? What did he say on Push-Ups? He said you wear a small shoe size.
What's a prince to a king? You a son. He's a son.
Okay, but Drake, on this song, Kendrick says when he shot the first Drake, basically the gun, he was taught how to aim it better, and then he realized I have to point down. So basically, he's saying I'm above you. I have to shoot down at you because you're beneath me.
Drake said the same thing. He said I have to hike down to have this conversation. I have to come down from the Mount Olympus of rap to come down and have this conversation with you.
But how can you be on the Mount Olympus of rap if you've got other people writing your raps?
That's not true.
It's not. We've heard the reference tracks.
First of all, we don't know the sources of those reference tracks. We don't know enough about the music industry to know what are those from. We hear reference track. I heard reference tracks from Kendrick the other day. Should I sit there and say that he's a bad? He has no pen. 21 Savage said Drake wrote rhymes for him on Her Loss. Same thing with Dr. Dre. Same thing with Wayne.
Well, Dr. Dre doesn't count. You can't see Dr. Dre is a bad example because Dr. Dre wrote still DRE, right? Jay-Z wrote Snoop's part, Jay-Z wrote Dre's part, but we've never thought of Dr. Dre in that way. And the same thing would go for Kanye even, you know, and that's where I find it hard with Drake sometimes because I don't really put him in the rapper category as much as like an overall artist category. And I prefer when he's doing Passion Fruit to when he's doing 8 a.m. in you know, Raleigh or whatever.
The point I was trying to make was he has pen because he's wrote for other people. If the guy wasn't a good writer, then why would somebody else ask him to write for them?
Well, I'm not saying he's not a good writer or a gifted writer. That's, you know, he's put out too much music for that to be the case. I'm saying you can't say you're the best rapper if you got people writing your raps. You just can't.
But the songs that have come out that people like, the reference tracks that you're referring to, are these very lyrical tracks. It's not like the 8 a.m. in Toronto song or like his best, hardest tracks where it's like,
he's got Little Yachty writing for him.
Dude, you think Drake needs Yachty to write for him?
I mean, he did write for him. He obviously, does he need it? I don't know, but
we're dude, the same guy who made I Want This for Life. We need him to rap for Drake. Come on, man. You're a smart guy. There's probably a logical explanation.
What can Drake say about Kendrick that's going to stick? Like, I think that's the hardest part of this nut to crack from the other end. If I'm being just like, so it's like if you're having the Jordan LeBron argument, I'm a LeBron guy, but if I'm going at LeBron, I would start with the 2011 final argument. Like, where do you attack Kendrick?
So in my mind, publicly, we don't know a lot about stuff, right? But I'm sure even in your industry, there's stuff you know about different people in the media that I wouldn't know because you're in that industry. So I'm sure that there has to be something that Drake has. The dude was talking too confidently the last 2 weeks. He has to have something up his sleeve to be talking the way that he was talking in his social media antics the last 2 weeks.
But Kendrick is also alluding that, you know, what was the line at the beginning? He says, I make music that electrifies them. You make music that pacifies them. You know, like, and that's basically, again, it all goes back to that aspect of it. And even the, you know, here's the part of it that I'm not as comfortable with, which is the you're not black enough kind of aspect, because I cannot speak on that. It is not my place to speak on that. But the way I interpret that from Kendrick's point of view, not from Rick Ross, but from Kendrick's, I think it fits into the entire theme of I find your existence fraudulent. You know, and that's more so than just a color or a race thing, as far as it being a bigger part of that whole equation. But then again, like I said, I'm not qualified to speak on that.
But the thing about it with me is all these insults that we're hearing, and you kind of touched on it earlier, these are things that we've heard before. Like, I'm sure in the beginning of your career, and even now, you'll get somebody tweeting at you or something of a take that you haven't called you a clown, right? Yeah. I'm sure in the beginning of when you started it felt a lot worse than it does now.
Well, but the one that I get the most, and the Suns fans can't say shit right now, so they're dormant. But it's when I was on SI Now, when it was a studio show, we were talking about Devin Booker once, and there was a lower third that said, "Is Devin Booker even good?" Which I did not make the lower third, so it makes it very memeable because you got like, "Is Devin Booker even good?" My point was wrong because I said I thought. Well, I don't know if my point was 100% wrong, but it was like 90% wrong. In the sense of I had said that I thought of him more as a scorer and not a guy that's impacting the game in a bunch of other ways. And I think I compared him to Lou Williams, which is wrong. And he's much better than that. And I apologize, and I got it wrong. And I've told Suns fans I got that wrong. I still don't think Booker is on the level of some of the other superstars in the league. Nonetheless, anything Suns related, the Suns fans always come up and they've got that meme of is Devin Booker even good? So they throw it in my face. But I don't know how much of an argument it is to say this guy has so many things you can diss him about.
But what I'm saying is, the way that I see it now is rap beef has evolved into where it's basically you have to be TMZ. You know, it's not about who has the harder rhymes or the more entendre. It's the dirt that you can reveal that people don't know.
See, but I'm not with that. I'm about rap, you know, and that's what I like. That's what I like about Kendrick's joint is his bar after bar after bar after bar after bar.
No, I'm with you. I agree with you. But just for the general public, that seems to be the consensus that I see out. That we declare this person the winner of this battle when they reveal something that we don't know. You know, so like that's the only reason why I would consider that Pusha T one. Like I feel like the Duppy freestyle song that Drake came out with. And Pusha's song, you know, Drake's songs washes his song. It's just Pusha reveals something we didn't know.
Well, so you know that TikTok that was put together made that Pusha T joint hit even harder for me. But yeah, I mean, look, the you were hiding a child thing was so shocking. I'm with you. Like that one never, like it was like, all right, you know, that's kind of gossipy in my mind. There was other stuff on that track that was ruthless. The stuff about 40, which was a little out of pocket. As far as I'm concerned. But then I thought there was other lines in there that really hit. But ultimately, because Drake didn't respond to that, that's what's given it, I think, the legendary status. And obviously, Kendrick alludes to it on this. What does he say? On, you know, he's like, I don't like that you brought Pharrell into this beef. You know, you couldn't even push a T while you try and push with me or whatever he says. He's Terrence Thornton. I'm Terrence Crawford. AJ Schreiber says, are these rap battles just a way for these guys to keep each other in the mainstream? Reminds me of Kanye and 50 Cent. Aren't they doing these things just to prop each other up? Well, Kanye crushed 50 Cent back then. People don't realize when they went head-to-head, that was Graduation against Curtis. That was the end of 50 Cent. As far as, like, not being a relevant figure in general, but in the sense of being a huge mainstream recording artist, that was kind of the end of 50 Cent. Too bad the Kanye that made that is no longer around. But it's always been a part, AJ, of rap and the sparring. And I don't think, like, Takeover and Ether, I don't think those were about keeping each other relevant. And I don't think that's the case here either. I think, look, Drake is very social media active, so he's always going to be relevant in that sense. And I honestly believe Kendrick Lamar hates Drake.
And we on this side hate Kendrick Lamar. No, but this battle, you know, this is a battle because one of my closest friends is a huge Kendrick fan. So we fantasy booked this like wrestling bookers for years. All right. And I feel like this is the battle for rap supremacy. You know, these are the two guys of this generation that people say is the guy who is the best. You know, Drake obviously has the sales and the more mainstream success, and Kendrick has always been donned as the lyrical guy. All right, like he has the best raps. And I feel like this battle right here is determining who is the guy of this generation. Now, I think Drake is, because the numbers and everything is so successful that they're like, he doesn't really have a counterpart that's close in that area. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the thorn in his side has always been, yeah, you're this successful guy, but you're not Kendrick, though. Yeah. So I feel like this is.
And Kendrick's also very successful. It's not like, you know, like
no, he's not a bum, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Like this is his thorn in his side. This is his opportunity to put the stamp on guys who are Drake haters, because we know a lot. Robin, you might be in that group.
Yeah.
But you might be in it.
But here's what you have to admit, Kevin.
I will.
Kendrick shakes the table.
Yeah,
like he comes. It ain't not noticeable. Like that's like Godzilla coming through the city. Like every time he does one of these things intentionally, it ain't with a murmur. It's loud.
Yeah. So one thing I will say is Drake drops so much music that like it may not feel special to some, because you know within the next month or two you're gonna get something. Kendrick drops so sparingly that it's like when he drops, it's a big deal because he doesn't release music that often. That's one thing I'll say over him. Yeah.
And that's, you know, I would prefer the well-cooked meal, but we will agree to disagree until we get a response from Drizzy.
All right, my brother.
All right.
Keep it easy, man.
Later on, my guy. So if you want to weigh in on that rap beef, feel free to do so. We've got some comments going back to the top of the show, responding to the Taurasi comments. Lisa Brown says, as far as Taurasi concerned, she absolutely was hating. You can call it swag if she wants. She's a hater, and now she sees she's more than likely going to be wrong, so she's backpedaling. Well, isn't that appropriate? Don't you want to see that? Don't you want to see her, if she's going to be wrong, backpedal? And I said that before. I said it was a little resentment and sly hating. I said that, but it wasn't the end of the world. It's not a big deal. And it's part of that competitive spirit. Look, I guarantee you, having played basketball my whole life, I guarantee you, Taurasi talks a lot of smack out on the court. A lot of smack. That's just who she is. Gator says Taurasi hates Caitlin Clark because she is white and being considered the GOAT of basketball. She's just jealous that she isn't Clark. Clark is changing the women's game for the better. What is that? What does her being white have to do with Taurasi said? Look, I do not, first of all, let me be very clear. I do not think Caitlin Clark is getting the attention because she is white. I do not think that. I do not believe that. Every athlete I've ever rooted for essentially has been black. As a basketball fan, you know, all my favorite players have been black. That's never stopped me from rooting for them. I didn't catch up and get caught up in this Caitlin Clark thing because she's white. Does it hurt? No, it doesn't hurt. You know, I've used Eminem and parallels. I'm not getting into that whole thing. But at the same token, if you don't want people calling her out for getting the attention for her being white, don't bring it up now for no reason. Diana Taurasi said nothing about her being white. There was no allusion to that part of the conversation. So I don't know why you're bringing it up. Though, I mean, you say in your next comment, I'm a moron if I don't think that was straight hate. Like, when Taurasi's talking about sensitive fans, she's talking about you. Talking about you. Don't be so sensitive about it. Oops, wrong banner for that one. You know, don't be so sensitive about it. It's okay. It's okay. Lisa Brown says what Kelsey said was Caitlin needs to start back behind the logo because the logo is her normal go-to spot. Gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly. They were just playing around, though. Like, they're just having fun. And that shows you that there's already good team camaraderie with the Indiana Fever. Martin Hazel, get an interview with Caitlin and go from there. Book it for me, dude. I will pay you money if you can get me a Caitlin Clark interview. I'm not. That is not a joke. I don't know how much money, but I will pay you money if you can give me a Caitlin Clark interview. Michael S. says, Juju gets more attention than any other college player now. Look what USC just did in the transfer portal. She's not white. Yeah, of course. Again, other people are going to benefit from this. And I'm not saying there's not anything about being white that helps her, but that is far from the reason Caitlin Clark gets the attention is because she's a hooper. She gets buckets. It's as simple as she's fun to watch. She's exciting. She's unlike anything we've ever seen. Con Landing says June 30th will be the WNBA's most anticipated game of the year between Indiana and Phoenix. Yeah, this is good for the game. It's good for the sport. It's good for the sport. It really is. We should all be thankful that this is going on. Not worried or concerned about it. Look, Caitlin Clark does not need your protection. She does not need your protection. She's got it. She's good. She's going to be just fine on her own. She's going to be just fine on her own. AJ Schreiber says Paige Beckers is going to be the number one in NCAA women next year. She was the top female before she got hurt. Looking forward to her fully being back next year. I mean, Juju's there too. I don't know if it's a guarantee. Those two are the two most exciting, but I don't even think either of them is projected to be the number one pick next year. Michael Martin says, I got to stay. I still revel in LeBron's failures. Look, to each their own. You're allowed to, but just realize when you're watching LeBron James, you're watching the greatest of all time. That's all. You can hate it if you want. You can hate it if you want. Speaking of hate, last thing I had on the rundown, Dirty Dom. People hate Dirty Dom. I don't know if you guys saw this on WWE Raw, but it appeared that Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan emerged from the same locker room. And the reason that would be so scandalous for those of you who are not aware is that Dominik's mommy is Rhea Ripley. There you see them coming out of the same locker room. Rhea Ripley, who had to surrender her women's championship because she was injured by Liv Morgan. and Rhea Ripley, who's the most popular woman in wrestling right now. And her and Dominik Mysterio have been a thing, and it's been very entertaining and all that. But now this feud between Liv Morgan, and if you don't know who Liv Morgan is, this is Liv Morgan right there. Feud between Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley is heating up, and I love the seeds that they're planting here because it will mean when Rhea Ripley comes back, the pop she is going to get is going to be out of control. And the heat that Dominik Mysterio is going to get, if Dirty Dom was indeed Dirty Mackin, the heat that he's going to get is going to be incredible. So I just love the seeds of that angle being planted. And you can hear us talk about it in full I did a short on it earlier today, so check that out on the channel. Again, check me out with Denise Salcedo Friday nights on her channel, her YouTube channel. It's also going off on my Twitter or my X here as well, Friday nights after SmackDown. And the Needle Wrestling podcast I do with my guys, Dave Sepperson and Gene Cherry. You can see the full conversation on that there. But I did want to touch on it. The rest of it is up to your comments, whatever you want to get in. I see we got another good show as far as the numbers are going. Consistent audience coming through here. Michael Martin says Bronny will be in the NBA if LeBron wants him in the NBA. We'll see. I mean, LeBron can't control everything. Bronny, here's the thing about Bronny. He had a heart attack or a cardiac arrest last summer. People got to give him a little grace. Got to give him a little grace. AJ Schreiber says MJ is greater than LBJ. Well, you're from Chicago. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to say anything else. He also adds, I got to tell you, you guys getting me back into WWE has given me a great appreciation for Samantha Mathis. She's fun to watch. Look, I mean, I think Samantha Mathis. I'm trying to think of what does that have to do with WWE? Am I totally missing something? Maybe you gotta explain because I feel like I'm missing something and maybe I'm making myself look like a fool right here, but it's over my head at the moment. Michael Martin says I'm not a Drake hater. I just think he stinks on ice. Well, a lot of people think that. No, Samantha. Okay, AJ Schreiber says, isn't she the ring announcer for WWE? No, that's Samantha Irvin is the ring announcer for WWE. That's who you got. Yes, she is a great ring announcer. I'm a big fan of her work as well. You know, Michael, you're not alone. I mean, people do think that about Drake. You know, they do think that about Drake. All right, guys, that's what I got. The rest of it, if you got any more comments, shoot them my way. I'll probably clip out the Drake segment and the top of the show on Diana Taurasi and Caitlin Clark. If you want to comment later, make sure you do. I'll try to get back to all of them. Please also like and subscribe to the channel. Welcoming all new subscribers. I've turned this show into it's now a Caitlin Clark beat reporter show, spinning off into WNBA basketball, followed by NBA, followed by pro wrestling and rap music, and some superhero stuff sprinkled in when it's relevant, because those are my interests. But I'm letting the people dictate where I go, and the people here have spoken on what topic they're really rocking with. So I'm going to start the show with that topic until results say otherwise. I'm starting the show with that topic, and then I'm getting through the other topics that I'm into. I'll post the clips. I'll see how they all do. But the Caitlin Clark stuff's just going bananas. So I'm no fool. I'm no fool. Michael S. says that cardiac arrest would have ended most players' career. That scares the hell out of me. How sure are they to fix the problem? Look, forget careers. It could have killed him. He could have died. It's terrifying. And because people hate LeBron, they're giving the kid no grace. He's a child. And like harsh about his NBA possibility and all these other things. Show the kid a little grace. You know, we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. You know, I wish him the best. And LeBron's, you know, not done yet. And obviously still playing at a very, very, very high level. Very, very high level. All right, guys. That'll do it for me here today. Like, subscribe, comment. I'll get back to as many of the comments as I possibly can. I can see still another good show. Numbers-wise, this channel continues to grow. So thank you for that. But I'm going to keep building this thing up. AJ Schreiber says, great show. Well, thank you guys. And once I got the super chats going, I'm going to need some of you guys to throw in on those too. Until the next show here on this same Robin Lundberg channel.